Hi everyone, I hope you are all doing well. My name is Petrusevski and I'm one of the interns here with weatherTAP, and we are an organization that tries to produce the best and most reliable forecasting software and good and just overall just good professionalism with weatherTAP and everything like that. Um, weatherTAP is an organization that helps forecasters and meteorologists in the field be able to gain real-time knowledge and very accurate data. And so part of my internship here is that we get the opportunity to live stream and interact with the audiences and everything. So so first, just to introduce myself again, I am Cameron Petrusevski. I am currently a student at University of California, Los Angeles, and I am majoring in atmospheric and oceanic sciences with a minor in film, television, and digital media. I have always loved weather since I was a young kid. I got into it as I believe I was 6 or 7 years old, and I am very excited about the opportunity to pursue it more in my career and be able to get the chance to talk about my passion while I am working with weatherTAP here. So please let me know if you have absolutely any questions or anything like that are weather related, weatherTAP related, whatever it might be. You can just add them to the comments and I will be checking them periodically. And so to kind of give a little rundown of what I'm going to try and do today, I'm going to give a bit of a walkthrough of weatherTAP and what their different radars are. And along with that, I want to talk about some interest in the weather area that I'm very interested in. Severe weather is one of my biggest interests, especially coming from Chicago. Tornadoes and severe weather happen almost day and day there. So it is very exciting to get the opportunity to discuss these opportunities with you guys. And so any questions at all, feel free to type them in the chat. So to get started, I can give a quick walkthrough of what the weatherTAP and the dashboard and everything is like. So right now we are on the dashboard here, and so I have mine set up to have the national radar here. So we can see that there's some movement over here with some storm systems going through the Chicago area, some parts of Texas, and so it's exciting to see how this can really show you the real time. You can see it's very nice to be able to get a good graphic like that. And then as we're going down, we have the Radar Lab National, which here we can see here. I can see if I can try make it bigger. I believe I can actually just do, yeah, there we go. So here you can see that we have the radar legend over here. So we can see over in the Chicago area that there's some activity, nothing too major, just some rain. And but as you can see, if there's green in that one area, that means that there's going to be a bit more intensity versus the blue that's showing a bit more minimal. And then up more towards the Pacific Northwest and that area, you can see that some snow is starting to accumulate, which is exciting to see. So it is really cool to look through this radar and see it in real time. Radar Lab National is one of the best ones that we're able to use because from here you can also check and see all the different aspects you can get to. So if you want some infrared satellites, some lightning, you can also ask it to track the warnings and certain thunderstorm warnings that you can see. I think down here in Texas you can see, yep, there's a flash flood warning. And it's cool to have this opportunity to get a huge map that focuses on every aspect of it with weatherTAP. So it is a really powerful tool with Radar Lab National, and it's a very highly recommended. So it's been very exciting to learn it as we've gone through this internship, and I'm excited to keep working with it. And then so once we get out of here, we can go over here, and over here we have the Radar Lab Local, which, my bad. Here we have the Radar Lab Local. And, okay. So that's not working over here, but so we have the dashboard over here. We can see that there is I have it set for my current weather to be in Los Angeles area, as I'm currently in LA. So that's good. And then I have the enhanced water vapor. Let's see if we can move this around. They're able to give you some of this in like real time, and it takes about like 5 to 6 minutes for most of them to update, which is really good, and it's very pretty accurate and up to date, which is really important as you're working in the weather industry, as things are constantly changing. So it's exciting to have that opportunity. Let's see, yeah. So this one is cool. I like using this one because it gives you the like water vapor content, and so looking at it when you compare it with the Radar Lab National, you can see that there's a higher saturation level towards the more Midwest area and up towards Canada and everything. So it's cool to see that. And then you go up here and you can see that there's some activity happening in those areas. So basically there being a higher level of saturation just means that there's a higher chance for water vapor to accumulate, which means that there are opportunities for precipitation to occur. And yeah, so you can go through that. And some of my, and from here we can also go check with Radar Lab National. We can see from the radar the different risks of severe weather and everything. And yeah, so one of my big interests that I've been able to do as part of my studies and everything has been working with, trying to work into, the importance of severe weather and how exciting it can be. And so part of my interests has really been with tornadoes. I have always loved tornadoes since I was a young kid, so it's really exciting to be able to study this and everything. So people will always talk about tornadoes and severe weather. What does it actually mean for there to be a tornado? Like, what is the science behind it? So to put it plainly, a tornado is a rapidly rotating and destructive column of air, and that kind of extends into the different type of storm clouds at the Earth, in the Earth's surface. It's characterized by a tightly wound and rotating funnel cloud. So those are what you'll be able to see when you look up in the sky or in pictures when there is a lot of activity happening, whether it's a severe storm or thunderstorm, whatever it might be. And if you see some rotation in that area, that's when you can tell that there's a funnel cloud coming and that a tornado might be on its way. The main cause of a tornado is coming from the intense atmospheric dynamics, and it's regarded as one of the most powerful natural phenomena. So this is one of those things that it's like hurricanes, it's like floods, tsunamis. One of the big severe weather events that, as part of weatherTAP, we are able to calculate and see through these radars, where this intense storms could potentially brew. It's actually interesting. If you check over here on the dashboard, I like to have a global map open when I'm looking through it, just so I can get a good overlay of, what could be occurring, what could be on the horizon coming into the Americas. And so if we play this, you can see that down here, right where Hurricane Otis had just happened or just passed through, I believe that was one of the stronger storm systems that has hit Acapulco recently. I think I saw that there was 27 dead and a lot more injuries. But you can see that the storm system is starting to make its way through and has kind of passed through. But it is interesting to see here, if I can zoom in a little bit more over here. Yeah, you can see how this hurricane is starting to, where it started off at the beginning of the day and then how it's starting to disperse as it goes through more of Mexico and into the States. But it is very interesting seeing this, and that's why I like to keep a global map open, because you can see what can impact the United States and our areas. And so having the weatherTAP open with that can be really beneficial, and it's really important to be able to see that as we are trying to gauge, what can be the best for safety reasons and everything like that. But back to severe weather. Sorry about that. Back to severe weather. You can see that a tornado is able to form through a bunch of different factors. So, one of the first things is that we can see it through a supercell thunderstorm. with these types of thunderstorms, there's a rotating updraft, and they're characterized by something called a mesocyclone, which is a rotating updraft that extends for several miles, and it's basically an essential form of how a tornado is going to develop. And you kind of look at the wind shear and how, this is the change in wind speed and the direction with height in the atmosphere. And so in order for a tornado to really, become a tornado, there's a significant amount of change in wind speed that needs to occur, and this needs to happen with a horizontal spinning effect, and so that the tornado is able to get the rotation that characterizes them. And from here, we also have to rely on something called the mesocyclone tilt, which this is the updraft within a supercell that we discussed before. And this can tilt the rotating column of the air into a vertical position, which allows it to have that vertical, linear aspect with the tornado. And this upward motion and the rotation stretched horizontally causes the spin-in to occur and causes the vertical axis that, is what the tornado looks like as it powers through. So, why is it important to know what goes into a tornado and how we can benefit from that? They can cause really strong winds, as most people know, and these being as intense and these can cause very intense rapid winds that can cause major destruction to homes in certain areas. Apart from this, there's the devastating damage, noise and debris. It can be a very important, or it's a very impactful weather phenomenon, and so having the access such as weatherTAP to be able to predict these tornadoes and where we can see them come about, or what the conditions are that are likely or have that higher chance of them to form. It's important to be able to recognize these. That way we can create a sense of safety and reliability for those people in those areas. That way they are able to remain safe and not be put in harm's way. So having access to these radars is very important in order to ensure the safety of everyone that's in those areas. One thing I do want to talk about, here we have the base reflectivity. As I'm from Chicago, I have it set for Chicago just to keep up on the weather and make sure it's good in those areas. You can see that there's some here, remove that. You can see that there's some activity going up around in Elgin and towards Aurora. Nothing too major, just some moderate rainfall. Pretty typical for this time of year as we're transitioning into more the fall. But yeah, so I did want to show you guys something that's really exciting with weatherTAP. So we can go over here to the model, and we can go to the predictive satellite and radar. This is really interesting because you can choose what side you want to view, and it can give you very accurate data that we're able to predict for future forecasts. And so let's see, I know Texas has been having some activity, so we can check that area. And so here we can see there's some activity going on. Here, I can press play. See that there's some activity going on over here. Some more moderate rainfall, a bit more intense. You can see a little bit of a yellow and red, which that's when it can get more intense and we gotta take more seriously. But this has taken us into Saturday, from today up until Saturday. So here we want to monitor and make sure that nothing too crazy is going on. We have to monitor for the effects of the hurricane and the after effects that have been occurring from Hurricane Otis. So it is really neat to be able to see this radar from weatherTAP. So it's very important to have access to this in order to get good forecasts and ensure the safety for everyone in there. All right, let's see. And then let me check if I can see some of the comments. Oh, sorry about that. All right. So sure if I can see these comments, if there's any. But if you guys have any comments or anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer them. Yeah. Any questions that you guys have, I'm more than happy to help you guys through it. It actually looks like you guys aren't able to comment. So let me see if I can fix that. All right. Let's see if you guys are able to comment now. Sorry about that. Looks like the comments were disabled for some reason, but we got that figured out. So if you guys have any chats or any questions, feel free to comment them and I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, so we can get into a bit more of weatherTAP and what their causes are and what, their mission. So with weatherTAP, the goal is to be able to create weather forecasting for professionals in the field. And so as meteorologists, it is really important to have a reliable and consistent source of radar satellites in order to produce highly efficient and accurate forecast. And this is important for a multitude of reasons, from aviation to make sure that airplanes are able to get to and from their destinations in a very safe manner. It's important for events that happen, whether it's a weekend event or a weekday event, to know what the weather is in that day. It's important to, prepare and plan and ensure the safety of everyone that wants to attend that, or just for day by day. It's important for people to know what their daily commute's going to look like. I know, especially back in Chicago, it was always important to know what the morning commute was like with the snow or the hail or whatever it might be that day in the winter. So it is very important to have reliable sources, just like weatherTAP has been able to do for us. So that's amazing. And yeah, so that's the goal, is to provide this database for and dashboard for the people that are trying to most accurately provide the weather to you. And let's see. And yeah, one of the things I would say has been the most exciting with working with weatherTAP has been the interactive maps that they have. You're able to kind of pick and choose where you want to. So for instance, we can see here, you can kind of zoom in and find the areas that you are trying to focus on the most. So here, for example, I know I've been focusing on Chicago a lot during this live stream, but you can see that there's some activity here, so that allows you to, want to explore a little bit more. So here, maybe let me open up the dashboard again. Yeah, so here, let's say we want to see what the base reflectivity is going to look like in Chicago. And reflectivity is the measure All right, so thank you guys for your questions. How do you navigate through these resources? So with weatherTAP, they set up this dashboard where you can add up some widgets and you can set up the different type that you want. So we have Radar Lab National, which is one of their main ones. This is a very interactive and it's very highly detailed. You're able to see what the temperature, the wind rates, severe storm warnings, and a lot of other important weather data in that aspect. You got the local, which is on a more local standpoint where it focuses more on a certain area. So for instance, if we wanted to look at Chicago over here, we'd get that set up and then you could see, and here you can see some activity that's going on in the area. And then here we can go here, and if we want to know like what the current temperatures are, flash flood, whatever it might be. So looking at the current temperatures, we can see that we're hovering around like a 65 to 70 for most of the area, up towards, sorry about that. Not sure why it's doing that, but there we go. But yeah, so that's kind of how you can navigate through it. You can use the different models in order to find different aspects that you're looking for. The dashboard is probably the most beneficial. Here you can go towards like what the base reflectivity is, and here the reflectivity is basically what that reflection looks like when it's from the radar that's in space. And so when there's a high amount of feedback coming back, that generally means that there's going to be a higher amount of intensity in a storm. And so as you can see in this graphic, as it's more red in that area, that means that there's more reflectivity is occurring, so there's more intense storm systems happening more towards that center. And then for this, how often would you say that you check this application being in this field? It's very often, especially when we are in the midst of a very intense storm system. I know with the Hurricane Otis that had just occurred, I had been checking it a lot more frequently than probably I had been in the past, but it is important to check it almost daily and just to get a good gist of it, especially when we are working on shift and in the field. You're basically having it open like 24/7 because you want to know what that system looks like, and what are the expectations, and if there are any changes that need to be made. It's important. Let's see, what are some of the other questions? And let's see, I'm scared for this upcoming Chicago winter. How can I use your knowledge to prepare? So the upcoming Chicago winter, it's always a gamble. So the best way that you can prepare with using the weatherTAP forecast is that we can go towards, we can actually look at some of their blogs they have posted if you go to the website, and you can look at the best ways to prepare for a winter. And I believe that there might even be a Chicago one up there. If there's not, we can add that. But I'd say the best way to prepare, always allow time for your commutes, what the winter looks like. And here we can show, let me see something. I don't know if it'll let us go back to see it right now because there's no current snow, but yeah, I'd say the best way that you can prepare is just giving yourself the time to get yourself to work or to your school or whatever it might be in the morning, and give yourself plenty of time and being safe on the roads and everything like that, as the temperatures will probably most likely get down towards the below freezing as they typically do in like December, January. It'll be important to, wear coats, wear gloves. If you're going outside, make sure you're limiting your time outside, and when you are out there, you're practicing safety and everything. But yeah, it'll be a rough Chicago winter, I'm sure, but able to make it through. Let's see. I know you said before that one of the features is being able to see incoming weather. How far along can the app tell us about incoming weather? That's a great question. So we're able to tell through a couple of the models in a different way. So if we take a look at the predictive satellite and radar, it gives us access to 36 hours in advance of that forecast. So if we press play here, you can see as you look down here that it is valid from Thursday right now to Saturday, 10/28. So it's typically a couple of days in advance. Some radars will give you access to material that is like farther in advance, but typically 3 to 5, even 5 days is pushing it. Typically like 2 to 4 days in advance is like where they try and keep the forecast in order to get the most accuracy and most reliable resource for the audiences and everyone that needs access to this material. And to kind of answer your second question, it is able to go to stay accurate. You want to stay within a decent time range, so about 2 to 4 days is probably the sweet spot, I'd say, in order to best accurately get this. So let's see. So I think we can start recapping. Just to recap, thank you guys so much for taking the time to hop on this live stream with me. To kind of recap and everything, my name is Petrusevski, and I am one of the interns with weatherTAP here, and we are very excited about the opportunity to, release this information, be more passionate about weather in the field, and be able to give it to professionals that are working in this field day in and day out, and set them up for success while also setting up everyone else for reliable information and get access to very accurate and timely information. We discussed, the main focus of weatherTAP and how, they have all these products and services that allow us to be able to tell the weather in advance and, in order to best prepare and ensure the safety for everyone, whether it's through their models, their radars, satellites. They give you a lot of access to it. We discussed severe weather for a bit and the impact of tornadoes. As coming from Chicago, I know tornadoes are a very important thing that you have to be aware of, and as we are approaching more severe weather potentially, it's important to know what constitutes a tornado and all that can come from it. And we discussed Hurricane Otis, and we talked about how some of the severe weather that's happening in Texas could be in relation to the Hurricane Otis that just hit Acapulco. And if we go to here, I'll give one more look at this. Go to the global radar, and we go to the global model view. You can see you can see that there's some activity occurring in that area. And if we press play, there we go. You can see some of this activity in Mexico that just came from the hurricane is going to start potentially having some after effects in that area. And then we just kind of gave a ran through of what are some of the materials that weatherTAP has, and how we can best prepare for the severe weather that could occur, and the accuracy, how we're able to predict. And so I want to say thank you guys all so much for being with me today, and I really appreciate all your help. And yeah, wishing you all the best. Stay safe, and have a great day.